All right, we have that story I just introduced about the high-tech high school made up with students from immigrant families. Cue.
Where's your transistor? Ooh, ooh. So, how's that going to work when it's in your hand and not on the board?
You can help me put it on.
No, I think you already know how to do that. You told me how to do everything else on here.
Engineering teacher Daryl McClendon won't hold Josh Huezo's hand, no matter how scared the 9th grader is of failing. Huezo is a first-generation Mexican-American at High Tech High, a San Diego liberal arts charter school that aims to keep America atop the global economy.
What is that called?
Emitter?
Neither of Josh Huezo's parents went to college, but every kid here does, even though admission is strictly by lottery.
Emitter, where's it going?
To the negative.
Josh Huezo is learning self-confidence here and told us he plans to get a degree in business and run his own someday. High Tech High succeeds by organizing students into teams, having them work on projects. Its education is discovery, keeping students engaged in order to keep America competitive. In science, in the global economy.
Right there.
Yeah, so where'd that go?
To the negative.
Let's hear some more ideas about this.
But this school is taking on another competitive challenge as well, getting immigrants into college, including San Diego's most numerous immigrants, Mexican Americans. Economist Julian Betts.
The gap in education between immigrants and natives used to be like this, and it's widened a lot since 1970. So in the short term, that is an issue. Are immigrants, on average, going to be ready to participate in this high-tech economy that everyone is talking about?
Economist Gordon Hanson.
If you compare the skills of immigrants to the skills of natives, we're accumulating lower and lower skilled foreign arrivals.
They're dropping out of high school, or in the case of immigrants from Central America, from Mexico, it's not so much that they drop out of high school when they get here, so they never drop in. They arrive here at age 15, 16, they start working immediately.
Mexican immigrants account for nearly half of all U.S. population growth. And yet less than 1 in 16 get college degrees, compared to nearly 1 in 3 for Americans as a whole. Thus, the fear that college grads, as a fraction of the population, rising steadily for almost 4 centuries, may now turn down.
There's an achievement gap.
Deputy Superintendent Gino Flores of the San Diego Public Schools.
Of the students who are Hispanic and who graduate from our high school, only about 25% of them are meeting the University of California entrance requirements.
As compared to what percentage of everybody else?
As compared to whites that are close to 50%. And some subgroups, including Asians, are over that.
At the 2,600 student Franklin High School in East Los Angeles, a remedial math class taught by Evan Rushton, a Caltech grad who happens to be my nephew. The highest grade here is a C. Rushton loves the kids, thinks they're plenty smart, and that's the problem. Even the lowest achieving kids could presumably do the work. They just don't.
They come in late. They don't do their work on time. They don't do much of their work at all. You can see them giggling. They know it's true.
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because it's true.
All but one of the kids here is Mexican American. And if estimates of the general population hold true, 5 to 10% of them are undocumented.
Does it matter a lot to you whether you go to college or not?
Not really.
Not really. Why not?
Because I'm in high school.
Now, of course, you could hear this in any high school from almost any kids, but schooling usually translates into skills. In an era when unskilled labor is at an ever-increasing disadvantage. To their teacher, the problem is attitude.
And at Franklin High School, at our school, if you look at the kids running around the track, they're walking. They walk their laps. Come into class, they're walking through the problems. There's a lack of motivation in the environment. The school itself creates lackluster performance. I don't know why that's the case. I'm in here racing around, but the kids don't follow me racing. Instead, they're just walking around and doing a slow job and not really pushing it, not pushing me, so they're not pushing themselves.
That fair?
In some cases, you might have problems at home.
Like what?
Well, family problems, friends, and situations from that does not include at school. So it might be that we might not pay that much attention to teachers, to problems, to tests.
Mexican-American Ernesto Caravantes, on the left, writes in his book Clipping Their Own Wings of the incompatibility of Latino culture with educational success.
I don't think it's as important to them as other things. Keeping their family together, maintaining ties back home with family in Mexico, visiting family in Mexico every year, maintaining cultural traditions.
Not so, says Mexican-American Jose Moreno, a professor of education at Caravantes' alma mater, Cal State Long Beach.
Every survey that I've seen suggests that Mexican Americans value education at an even higher rate than other ethnic groups that we consider to be groups that have succeeded.
Moreno blames the high dropout rate on a history of bigotry and oppression, and an inability of schools to understand Mexican Americans, at least up until recently.
A lot of parent education initiatives now are about bringing parents into schools to show them how teachers teach. Because many of our families, be they immigrant or not, maybe have not graduated from high school.
But whatever their differences, both agree that given their history in this country, Mexicans are afraid to be looked down on, afraid to fail. And when told about High Tech High, Caravantes and Moreno were both enthusiastic.
I like that approach. I mean, it sounds like that's a school that is actively engaging the students.
Yeah, of course, that's much better for kids because it's much more interactive generation in that way, visually stimulating and collaborative in that sense. So, absolutely.
Engineering teacher Darryl McClendon says the key to the high-tech way is simple. Given an accessible, hands-on goal, students can and will learn to do it themselves.
Where's the negative at?
Somehow connected over there.
Come on, brother. You know how to do it. Finish it off. You can go sit down and finish it off because you got to do the same thing on the other side too. All right, man. Sweet.
There are plenty of problems, of course. Though High Tech High is almost within walking distance of Mexico and the busiest border crossing in the world, it has a lower percentage of Mexican-American students, 28%, than the area it draws from, 42%. Larry Rosenstock, who founded and runs the school, concedes that's an issue.
A woman in Barrio Logan in San Diego who applies to this school 8 months before September is different from her next-door neighbor who doesn't apply to the school. So yes, there's a self-selection bias of who applies.
But Rosenstock points out, once he gets the kids into High Tech High, they're not tracked, and they do go to college, every single one of them, no matter how scared they were of failing when they got here. Because the school believes, when you prod kids to accomplish, they're going to learn one of life's key lessons. Failure can be okay.
Being incorrect with something is a learning experience, The only time it's bad is if you don't learn anything, from it.
We assembled a group of High Tech High students and put the failure question to them.
The first time I was like, yeah, how am I gonna do this?
And it was a disaster. I burned my partner with the chemicals.
I think one of the main things here at High Tech High that causes pressure might be presentations.
But they get over it.
I was shocked. I went up there like stuttering after every other word that I said. I stuttered and
they don't let it stop them.
Like this?
Yeah, like I am right now, exactly. Yeah.
But failure isn't the end of the world.
There's always somebody to help you up, It's not like you're being humiliated or laughed at. It's a very, very great environment, to fail in.
Unlike other schools in America, it's never just sink or swim at High Tech High. Because this place does collaboration like you've never seen.
We all kind of started over at the same time and helped each other and trying to get it to work.
And which one is the negative here?
Those that get it first, share it with those that don't.
The negative side is supposed to be connected to the other side, right?
So is High Tech High then an answer for American competitiveness in general and closing the Mexican-American achievement gap? Jose Moreno isn't so sure.
Actually, if we come up with a new intervention or way of doing education then everyone will benefit from it. It doesn't resolve the gap.
School Administrator Gino Flores, also a fan of High Tech High, has a more general answer to a gap that Caravantes, Moreno, and Flores himself have all so successfully closed.
I benefited from the Americans' investment in public education. The massive building of public schools, community colleges, colleges and universities that came out of the post-World War II era, I benefited from it greatly. We haven't seen that kind of expansion in education in the last 40 years. Here in California, we open up more prisons than we do colleges and universities.
My circuit lights up, but...
Suggesting that perhaps, were those priorities reversed, we might have more high-tech highs and a bit less concern about America's competitive future.
Yeah.